Yo, yo, check this man right here, coming at you.
Before my first visit to this mysterious country more than 2 years ago, I only knew about it as the land of great Himalaya mountains. Mountaineers and trekkers make their pilgrimage to the highest peak in the world, the Mount Everest. This is the country of Nepal. I certainly can feel the powerful attraction, even with my second visit during the monsoon season, the worst time for mountain viewing. Sneak peeks of the mountain through airplane windows and through clouds are still amazingly breathtaking. But beneath the mountainous beauty, there lie some tragic stories. Here I met the actors of these stories, both victims and heroes. This time, I brought 6 friends with me to learn more about these people and their stories. People here struggle daily to survive and to make sense out of their challenging life during the 10-year civil war in the poorest country in Asia. The abject poverty is difficult for the North Americans like us to imagine. My friend, who is a public defense lawyer in Boston, who came on to the trip with me, says it best.
I do a job where I see poverty every day in America, and it shocks me that people live that poor in America. But when I went to Nepal, it was like I had never seen poverty like that before, and I had not expected to see poverty like that before, and I had not expected to be affected like that by it. In seeing it.
Because of the Civil War, many families are forced out of their home villages. I set out to find these refuge families. For many days, my local friends would take me on their motorcycles, weaving through crazy Kathmandu traffic and climbing on rough, hilly roads. Sometimes we will hike up difficult terrain. We will do anything we can in search of these families and to learn their stories. We found this family in a poor village near the city. This man told me the story of how he was first forced out of the village. Later on, the rebels stripped his wife naked. Completely humiliated, she fled the village with 2 small children and one still in her womb. Now they live in this mud house filled with mosquitoes, with no clean running water, with very little to live on. The man still bought us expensive orange soda to quench our thirst in the heat of the day. I met Sapitri, a 35-year-old widow. About 2 years ago, rebels kidnapped her husband, and they tried to force him to join the rebel force. But he refused. As a consequence, the rebels tortured him, cut off his legs, and sent him home. He died shortly on his way home, leaving Sapitri with 6 children. Being a widow, Sapitri's home village considered her as cursed, and they made her life very difficult. Unable to cope with trauma and discrimination, she brought her children to the city. Working on odd jobs, she could barely make enough to feed her children or send them to school. Several of her children had to work as domestic workers in other people's homes in order to earn their daily meals. This was just one of the many widows and refugee families I met. For example, this woman, her name is Chimimaya. Her husband was also killed. She was brutally beaten and tortured, and she fled the village and brought her 6 children with her. She cried when I asked her how her children were and whether they were able to receive education. She couldn't. She couldn't give her children a good education, so she cried. Tears come down her eyes. Their stories have much in common. In spite of severe challenges they faced, most of them told me that they found strength to survive for their children. In my eyes, they're heroes. Across the street from a busy street intersection was a government-run school. There I met many students. Crowded import facility with goats roaming around the campus, with dirty latrine as toilets. I found that these students were happy to be in school. I later found that 90% of them, even the first graders, work before and after school as domestic workers in other people's homes. They earn their daily meals that way. I felt privileged and honored to be their teacher for a few days. I learned much from their love of learning and a hope for a brighter future. Then there were the orphans. Daily I walked them to school and enjoyed their wit, laughter, and innocence. I could hardly tell that just before a year ago, they were roaming on the street, begging for food, trying to survive. This is Shure, a 6-year-old boy, abandoned by his stepfather. He roamed the village streets without food and early education. Now with the help of the Hope House, he's at the top of his class in upper kindergarten. Rajesh, another 6-year-old boy, belonged to the lowest caste of this age-old discriminatory social system. Without social mobility and being an orphan, he would have grown up without any chance for a quality life. Now he is gaining confidence in the love provided for him in this orphanage. Sushila, a 5-year-old girl, was suffering extreme hunger when our organization found her. Now she eats the fastest and beating the boys on the amount of rice she eats. Occasionally she would smile and delight the whole house. Finally, me Sabine, already 5.5-year-old, he has the body of 3-year-old due to sustained hunger and severe malnutrition. He had been on the street the longest amongst the 4 orphans. Now with the care of the Hope House, he has the biggest smile and the biggest personality. My journey ended with some all too common questions. What can I do? How can I help? Why am I more privileged than the people I met in Nepal? My visit allowed me to put real faces on poverty and injustice that so often were just another news on TV. These people, these kids, these widows and families, they became my friends, my people, and I became one of them.